Hello and welcome to Join Our Town. I'm Crystal Berger and today's issue is health. Joining us to discuss weight loss and honoring God with your body is author and fitness and wellness expert Lisa Lynn. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, what an amazing topic, Lisa. But have you ever struggled with weight loss yourself?
Oh, I was 40 pounds overweight and that wasn't the worst, but I was really depressed. Like I was on the couch, get up, eat, roll back over, go to bed. And I was a Christian, so I really never felt like I was alone. I felt like God was there. But what I didn't realize was that I wasn't honoring him with my body. Even though I was trying and wanting, like I so desperately wanted to lose weight more than anything. I was seeking that first above him. Now I know that looking in the rearview mirror, but I definitely struggled and it's what's inspired me to be here today talking about it.
Now, when you talk about your struggles, how did you actually overcome them?
That's another great question. Well, first, I did what everybody did. I'm a diet researcher. I did all the diets out there. It never dawned on me that I need to ask God what he wanted me to do. Now, this is the way that God incredibly works. So I started working with this real guru, and I ended up getting in better shape than I ever would have dreamed, despite the fact that I didn't believe it. I thought it's for everybody else, not me. But he carried me to those zones, and I got in really good shape. And then I realized, posing in front of a camera, very high-paid bikini model, uh-oh, everything I felt is still wrong inside. Now what do I do? And I realized it was time to go in and dig deep and go back to the roots and find that thing that was going to make me feel full and whole. Here I was, buffed, shreds, six-pack abs, you name them. Things weren't right.
So when you say things weren't right, a lot of times Christians, they struggle with obesity as well. Is there a connection between not being connected as a Christian and obesity?
Very, very good question. And what I didn't realize, I thought that I was fully surrendered to him. I mean, the serenity prayer in me, just all day long, grant me the serenity. But what I didn't realize was that while I was surrendered to him, maybe I was only at 80%. And he wanted me all in 200%, hook, line, and sinker, if you will, with my body, no matter what it meant. And when I finally surrendered that over to him, because I really did think that I was praying for this thing that I wanted, but I never said, God, what do you want for me? Or my new prayer is, make me an instrument of your peace. It's thy will, not my will. I was really praying my will. I didn't do it intentionally. The other thing that was shocking was how we're all pleading. And I was depressed, didn't want to get off the couch, felt like I was taking up too much space on the earth, to be honest with you. I couldn't hear his voice no matter how hard I tried. And what I didn't realize was that everything that I was doing that got me overweight was really also clouding my antenna. So it was blocking the reception to him.
So let's talk about the things that got you to being overweight, because it's kind of a consistent theme. So what are some things when we're challenging weight loss, or challenging obesity, what are some things that people actually struggle with? What are those things, those challenges?
The worst one is denial, not realizing what we're doing wrong. Like I was vegetarian. Nobody ever asked me, how much oatmeal do you eat? So I didn't think I had to look at anything because I was doing everything right. I was eating oatmeal, I was eating avocados, lots of trail mix. I was definitely an exercise addict, another thing I put in front of God to make up for the eating that no matter how hard I tried, I just couldn't get in shape. What I didn't realize now was I had to just stop, halt. I call it hit, pause, and pray. Surrender, ask him, and don't lift a finger until you audibly hear his voice about what to do next. And my next step was I had to erase everything that I ever learned. Forget it, because I almost knew too much for my own good. Mind you, I'm a trainer, and I had all those people doing before and afters. I didn't think it was in the cards for me. I thought that was how he was going to bless them. But I had to forget everything I ever learned and try something new. Like now I see it clearly. If you want change, you have to change what you're doing. Also, 1 in 3 Christians is overweight. And I think the hard part is I come from a family of alcoholics, so food was my drug of choice, and I didn't realize it. Even though it was really healthy, I was abusing it. I was using it to fill the void that I should have called him in to fill and lean on him more.
So let's talk a little bit more about some of the obstacles that we face, because you say you were eating right. You were eating trail mix. You were eating avocados. So what challenges in that space are we not aware of when we're combating obesity?
Yep, I think TV shows, number one, in the media, we take it for gospel. You take the gospel for gospel and forget what's on TV is what I say to people. That's the only thing you can bring home because the other thing is, so you can't take everything out there that you, just let's say someone's on TV saying eat avocados. Well, if it's not working for you, that's a clear sign you need to do something different. Obstacle number one. Obstacle number two was the committee in my head saying, you can't, you're never, you won't. It's for other people, you know, where the enemy slips in with me. You're fat and ugly, why bother? Just that poor me, I can't do it attitude. That was a huge obstacle. The other one was who I was hanging around with.
Yes.
We totally, now I look back in the rearview mirror, I'm like, how did I miss that? Sunday brunches after, and if you look around you, everybody's sitting there discussing high cholesterol, high blood pressure. Do you think God would let us suffer with that? Like, that's not his will.
That's right.
And I started to say, you know what? You guys go and eat, and I'm going to eat quietly while he talks to me. And it changed everything. It was a little lonely for a while, but I started noticing my shift in friends because we are who we hang around with. And food is a very cunning place that the enemy slips in. It's an acceptable form of abuse. If it was alcohol, we would take the keys away and be like, sister, what are you doing? But with food, we'll actually give it to the dieters trying to eat clean. So I think we really have to put a whole new set of eyes on and see it the way he sees it.
So seeing it the way he sees it, how can we use our faith more to fight obesity and weight loss?
And you know what? That's a good question and point is that we absolutely have to bring faith in here. Like when you're fighting with cravings, help! That could be the only prayer you need. Yeah. And sometimes when we push ourselves, we don't realize because we're on autopilot eating that what we really needed was a hit, pause, and pray break. Which is what I do now. Now, I struggle still. I fall in the hole. The difference is I get up faster. I forgive myself the way he forgives me. I know, you know what? So I focus on progress, not perfection. But the faith has to be there that if you believe it, it will be.
So for those who are trying to start this journey, they want to get healthy, they're not happy, they're not living their fullest life and honoring God with their bodies. What are a couple of first easy steps that they could take?
Well, number one, everybody has to move, no matter who, what, when, where, what's wrong with you. God designed our bodies to move. So we need to move every day 10,000 steps. There's no one that can't do that. And if you can't walk, you can pedal a bike or use an arm thing. Find your groove. The second thing is just take what you're eating and cut it in half. Those are two things. And third, probably the most important thing is the vegetable aspect. We're supposed to get 10 vegetables every day. So if you focus on nothing but that, what it does is walks all the other things away. But we do get addicted to the very foods that we're not supposed to be eating.
So with those addictions, because cravings are major, some of us crave sugar, some of us crave salt. How do we handle cravings?
Pray hard. Hit pause, pray. And the other thing I think what people are shocked about, like the Bible's talked about fasting for forever. And it seems like here we are in the 20th century, we forgot all about it. When I live a lifestyle of fasting. I don't believe that fasting should be saved for certain times of the year. Look at what happens to how your faith grows and your spirituality grows, living in that fasting zone. Stay there, and then when it's over, say at the next meal or for dinner, don't just go right back into the Twinkie zone. Just keep thinking of God watching you eat. Are you honoring him with your body? More importantly, there's people, a lot of Christians, working out like crazy because they can't get their food under control. So know this, the enemy slips in some very inconspicuous. Expect him everywhere. Expect him when you diet to have your neighbors start baking cookies for you. And see it that way, like, nope, you're not gonna win. But you need to bring faith, if there's ever a place, into the food in this world, because you know all things are possible through Christ. He's going to strengthen you. It's just that simple.
So when we're talking about healthy body image, because a lot of times we see images that don't necessarily correlate with how we were created to be. How do we actually address healthy body image and weight loss?
And that's another obstacle that really got for me, was no matter how good of shape that I got in, all I could see was fat and ugly, why bother? I still struggle with that. Now I instantly, and it's taken me a decade, but of solid obedience and work, I see myself the way he sees me. And then the other thing he was saying to me this morning when he was downloading, God that is, he said, you know how we look at our dogs and they could be like ripping up your shoes and you're like, oh, he's so cute. That's how he looks at us. Wow. So instead of beating yourself up, see yourself through that adoration that he looks at. And the minute that little voice comes in, up to God, down to your feet. Those are the only two people you can control. Don't worry about what your neighbor looks like, that comparison. Forget the media, just be right there where he has you and honor him in that zone, because that's the zone that can really take us off track.
So Lisa, if you wanted to give me your top 3 tips on honoring God with your body, what would you say?
I would say, one, first, see yourself the way he sees you, because you're either only going to come out of love or fear. When you love yourself, you're going to eat more fruits and vegetables and eat pure food that's make you feel good. And you have to move every single day. And we won't have any of the problems that we see in here at church that keep us from living out what his will is for us.
Now, when you saw the 40-pound overweight Lisa, and you were looking in the mirror and you just couldn't get started, when you're trying to get started, what were some of your day-to-day routines that you did just at the 40-pound overweight Lisa?
Faith it till you make it. I did not want to get up. It was like, when's the next meal coming? I just get up and I think about, we forget this, but that enemy is going to stop us from doing his work. Now looking in the rearview mirror, he knew he needed to keep me down because I'm relentless when I'm going after something. And so now I just get up, I get out of my own way, I get into his, and I totally focus off myself and onto how can I help you? Because if you can get over yourself and think, how can I help someone else? Don't let those hang-ups of overweight, out of shape, anything. There's something you can do for someone else, and the next thing you know, distraction is a powerful tool. You'll see why the enemy is trying to keep you back on the couch overweight. Nothing should keep you from doing what his, because he's going to give you what you need.
One last question in this segment. So fasting, how can where do we go in the scripture for fasting, and how can we get into fasting with the risk?
Well, you know, there's a lot to be said with that, but I can't pull the verses out of my head right now, but the Bible tells you all about it, especially when you get back into the Old Testament. They fasted a lot. Don't wait for those once a year when your church does it. Just get on your knees, get tight with him, and ask him, what do you want me to do? And sometimes when you're in deep prayer over situations in your life, that's the time to hit the fasting button, meaning you don't have to starve, you don't have to do water, but really take your focus off food is what fasting really means. It shouldn't be what you're making on the fast. That's not fasting at all. Your focus is supposed to be on him and what he has in store for you. So Lisa, as far as in store with your weight loss journey, what's next for you? I'm just going to keep asking him where he wants me to go and carry this message out there. I love servicing leaders who service people and help them to just feel their best. Writing books, my life mission is to help as many people get off the couch who are depressed as I possibly can while I'm still walking the earth.
And any tips for teens?
Teens, start young and get your whole family involved. Teens is where it starts, like we teach them to say please and thank you. My prayer is that anybody who's watching this that has a family starts their kids out, their family, eating the right way, and we tend to do it the opposite because it's so much easier to just not have a bad habit than to unlearn one. And families, just like we go to church together and believe, we need to eat together and believe as well.
And is sitting down at the dinner table important?
Gigantic. And you know, I'm the first one wanting to dig in. Hitting pause and praying before your meals is huge. And now I say, what do you think about what's on my plate, God? And because every now and then I want to put stuff, but it changes everything when that dialogue is right there, that he is there watching it. How am I honoring him with what's on my plate?
Thanks so much, Lisa. We'll take a break and continue our conversation after these messages.
Son, I think we need to have a man-to-man talk about you not following directions.
Dude, we gotta talk about these grades. What's up with that? Not cool, man. We were word sick about you. You were supposed to call. Where were you last night?
Hey, son, when you get a minute, I mean, when you're ready, we need to talk.
Hey, Dad. Who are you talking to?
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I wasn't talking to anyone.
Not sure how to talk to your teen? Call the Boys Town National Hotline. Our trained counselors are available 24/7 to help you find the words and the way to handle parenting issues, big or small. Call 800-448-3000 or visit parenting.org.
You're late again. Something's got to give. Is everything all right?
Just same thing, different day.
Did you get a chance to check out that website? I think it'll help.
Mental health challenges don't go away on their own and could get worse. You are not alone. Other veterans have overcome similar obstacles. Find stories of hope and recovery today at maketheconnection.net.
Welcome back to Joy in Our Town. I'm Crystal Berger, and today's issue is health. Joining us to discuss how to stay physically strong is author and fitness and wellness expert Lisa Lynn. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Now, Lisa, tell me, what is obesity? When someone is obese, what does that mean?
You know what's sad? More Americans than not are obese right now. That means you're definitely more than 25% above what you should be. How do you know what you should be? I say to people, you don't take this emotionally. You have to look at a chart and a graph about what you're supposed to weigh. Also, if you have, let's just say you're of a reasonable weight, you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, the doctor has told you you're pre-diabetic or you have diabetes, triglycerides are high, something's out of alignment, needs to be corrected, because people are just chalking up to, well, I'm just heavier. If those things aren't right, you've got some health issues that are being affected by your weight.
Now, Lisa, when we look at that chart, sometimes people like to say that culturally it's a difference in weight based on ethnicity and things like that. How true is that?
That is very true. And you know what, and I think we need to honor that, but again, so let's just say you're 15 pounds above what the doctor thinks you should be. If all your stats are good, your hormones are in balance, your cholesterol, your blood pressure, your triglycerides are all good, then you're good. But if you have any of those, and when I say low cholesterol, without medication, let's qualify that, because there's a lot of denial going on. Low cholesterol on medication does not count, but those are good indicators that you're right where your body weight needs to be. And some of us are going to be a little bit heavier than others.
Now, when you get your stats, you go in and get blood work, and it tells you different things about your body. What are some risk factors when you talk about for obesity?
Everything. First, you can't get up and move. It makes exercise difficult. But there's no disease that isn't affected, especially diabetes, that is on the rise. They can't figure it out, by the way. And the government just changed their guidelines again. Every 5 years, they put them out. And they're finally attacking sugar. We are consuming way too much sugar. So they talked about not drinking soda because of this diabetic issue. And when your body is being bathed in sugar, every cell is. So from your eyes to your toes, there's nothing that's not affected. And we have more control than we think. So drink a glass of water instead of soda. But here's the thing they didn't talk to that a lot. There's a big juicing craze right now. So doctors aren't always on the ground thinking this. Well, I don't drink soda. You're drinking something if your sugar's high. It could be liquid sugar in the form of wine or any kind of alcohol. It could be the kind of juice you're throwing 15 pounds of fruits and vegetables into a juicer thinking you're doing something good for your body, but they're all, in fact, that has more sugar than soda.
Wow. And that sugar ultimately turns into this, right?
Excess fat. And this is 5 pounds of fat. This little bit extra, which I put on every holiday, is enough to really slow you down, make you not feel good, but also 5 pounds gained or lost changes your blood pressure and cholesterol. So you lose 5 pounds, your blood pressure goes down. I think the important message to take away is that it's the small things we do that really manifest into gigantic changes. And so if you're stuck and you don't feel like you can, what am I going to do? It's too big, maybe. Every little step you take, cutting your food in half, walking around the block, just keep it that simple. And the next thing you know, 1% lower, and you're off the medications.
Well, this looks like a lot of fat. So for every 5 pounds, do your risk for obesity increase?
Absolutely. Probably for every 5 pounds, your risk increases 5 pounds. And imagine, just imagine this is 5 pounds carrying this around. Our heart is about the size of our fist. It's a muscle, and it can only be as strong as it can be. But if it's carting around excess fat, 5, 10, 15 pounds, just think of how much harder your heart has to work every day. So I hear this all day from overweight people, but I'm exhausted. Join the club, we all are. You don't need to have a lot of energy to exercise. You can just go slow, I think, is another really good message. People think they have to kill themselves or not work out. Just get off the couch, you get points, and start moving.
Now, how can we take this fat and become physically strong as an individual?
All right, that's a good point, because our bodies are only as strong as the weakest link. So let's just say you're really strong, but you're overweight. guess what? That's the thing that's going to take you down. So all systems have to be in play. This stuff also is what's clogging arteries that can really keep you, from not feeling good. So get those things together so that when you're trying to get strong, think one thing at a time. I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to start to get strong. You only have to go twice a week. Twice. I think the biggest problem is people think it's so difficult. We overcomplicate it is the problem. We do need to move every day, and we're talking walking 10,000 steps a day. If you're not doing any steps and you start doing 2,500, progress. Focus on progress, not perfection. That's going to start getting you in the right direction. And think small baby steps every day. Think cut your food in half. Think I'm going to eat 5 green vegetables today. Think I'm going to grab more fish than chicken. All of these things aren't just going to keep you physically strong, but healthfully they're going to really keep your health very strong, and that's very key factor.
Now testing your strength. Some people think that they're strong, and when you go into the gym, I'm getting started on this journey. What's the test? Like, what's the practical test?
So glad you asked me that question because I hear this all the time. I do CrossFit 6 times a week, and we do push-ups, and they do these little kind of baby little things. What was that? Push-ups, really, we all are supposed to be able to do a push-up. So we should be able to lie flat on our stomach on the ground and push ourselves up with our upper body. Now, maybe women, you can't do it on your toes. It's okay. But if everybody in America just did that daily, and your exercise might just be lay down, try to push yourself up 10 times on your knees. The second one is, can you squat on the potty? Potty squats. Why do I even bring the potty into this? Because if you can squat down on the potty and really sit and then get back up 25 times, you will get stronger. Do you know that that is one of the biggest reasons people end up in nursing homes later in life is because they can't squat on the potty?
Wow.
So this strength we're talking about isn't just so you can win a He-Man, contest. This is practical strength that if you break your hip, you can get yourself up off the floor.
And let's talk about the breaking of the hip. A lot of people find it difficult to get into the gym because they have injuries, whether it's a bad knee, a bad ankle,
We
a
all
hip.
have something.
We all have something, right?
Yeah.
My back.
I told my mother the other day, 74, listen, you have so many more muscles that can work. So I sat her down because her leg was hurting, and we did all upper body. Those are called excuses, and they're reasons, but they don't excuse you from working out. And so it's critical to think of what you can do. So when you can't change something, can't change you have a broken leg, change how you think about it. Think, well, I could really focus on my upper body. And when I have a client who has whatever kind of injury, I'm like, yay, now we get to focus a little bit more on upper body. Or if they have a hurt shoulder, yay, we can go lower body. There is always something. Do not let it sideline you.
Because it gets tough when you want to talk about motivation. So if you're hitting that standstill, right? You're not losing any weight. You feel like you kind of plateaued with your strength. How do you stay motivated after that point?
And there's a saying in the business world, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. I always say to people, when you journal or you keep track of how many push-ups can you do today, make a note, send yourself a text, put it on the note on your phone. It could be simple. But if you see, wow, I could only get up 3 times, and then in 2 weeks you're doing 10 push-ups on your toes, seeing change, seeing progress, nothing is more motivating. So I push people to say, you know what, for 2 weeks, I want you to take a test drive. I want you to move every day, whether you want to or not, because if you can push yourself through those zones, all of a sudden progress comes and you're addicted to doing it. You kind of want that a little bit.
So how important is variety in building strength? Should you do the same thing every day, or should you, switch it up twice a week?
The gyms would like you to think that you need a lot of variety. I'm here to say, no, you don't, and you don't even have to join a gym. I think the truth is, if people did push-ups, squats, and really good, like a plank for 2 or 3 minutes, you don't need any of the machines. And I know people who've done that till like 80-year-olds in the street tell me, here's my workout routine. 25 years ago, I used to be like, you have to change it up. Now I'm like, high five, because for 80 years they did that, that kept them fit and strong. Find the things you will do that get you progress and stick to them. There's nothing wrong with consistency and frequency.
Let's talk about a couple of those exercises. So you said squatting and push-ups. On average, just getting started, what should like a typical routine be?
I almost start everybody on squats, really deep. And I mean, a lot of people can't do squats because they're not flexible. So we'll do push-ups. I like to have people do chin-ups on a bar, and you can find a really solid I take chairs in people's homes and let them hold themselves up. Like as infants, we're designed to hold ourselves up on a bar, but we lose strength every day. So I start with the hardcore ones, and when they can master those, then we go into all the other pretty frou-frou moves, which are accessory muscles. Why do we do that? Because they're the most successful. You see the most progress the fastest, and they're key, they're paramount that you can do those hard exercises, because if you can't, it doesn't matter that you can do the other ones.
So the difference in strength and endurance. Why is it important to have a strong body versus a body that's that can go a long time?
You want both.
Okay.
You really want to have both, because I know really strong people that can't walk long periods and vice versa. You want to have both, because having strength without endurance means you're strong for a second and it's over. You really want to, and that's where cross-training, where it gets complicated. But the thing is, that's where if you think of walking and you do it for an hour, there's some endurance training. And as you get fitter, you'll organically start to go faster. You don't even have to push yourself. So you take care of the endurance on that side, and then the strength comes from the squats and the push-ups.
So what about age? How does age impact strength training or building a strong body?
You'd be surprised that some of my oldest clients are some of my strongest clients. But as a woman above 40, I can tell you that every year I'm losing some muscle mass. A half pound is what we lose every year. So our metabolism takes a step back, and so you have to work a little harder at it. Look, mentally, I'm a mom, I'm a wife. I have to work a little harder mentally to get myself. I don't like doing push-ups, I won't lie to you, but I make myself do them if it's 1 set of 10, because when you come away from that mat, that builds strength in your body that manifests everywhere in our life. So I say, forget the things you're really good at, don't do those anymore. You have to focus on the things that you're not good at, whether it's pushing the plate away or doing push-ups. You already have the other ones mastered, and this is where we really resist change.
Now, is there anything that you can actually eat to make you stronger?
Good point, by the way. So a lot of times when we don't eat correctly, we don't feel strong. When we're living on sugar that lifts us up and drops us. You know, all these, even these Gatorade type sports drinks that people drink, lift us up, drop us down. Eating lean, clean, I call it lean and green. So lots of white fish, chicken breast, and you don't need too much. You just need a very little bit. When your protein and your vegetables are on track, your body will show it.
Let's talk a little bit more about that protein. So you said chicken and fish. What about your red meats and things of that nature?
For health and strength, red meat actually does make you very strong, and I can tell when people have eaten it by their strength. However, we're only supposed to have 2 to 3 ounces. We're talking like maybe the size of your small iPhone, and that should be once a week. I have people focus on lots of fish because it's a healthier protein. It's better for women if you're struggling with your weight. You want to go fish, and the lighter and the whiter, the better for your metabolism. Chicken is good, again, 3 ounces, but it does contain some fat, so we really should pay attention to how much fat is in there.
So Lisa, your quick tips on either what to do or what to eat for building strength?
Definitely go for the protein 3 times a day to build strength, and also lots of leafy green vegetables. Lots of water, because that right there can reduce your strength if you don't have it.
And what about exercises?
Got to move every day. I say 10,000 steps, and the reason I go there first is there's no one that can't walk. You can walk, you know, in your apartment building around the block if you have to. You can pace while you're watching us. The other thing is you should really know your numbers. Take your goal weight and multiply it by 10 if you're like, I'm not changing what I'm eating. Don't, but nail your numbers. So goal weight times 10, that's your calories for the day. People really have no clue what they're supposed to eat or how much.
And I'm at home, I want to figure out this strength thing. Is there something I could Google?
You can hit my website, and I'm happy to answer people's questions. I almost say don't do that because they get so confused. I'd rather see you get down on the ground, start doing push-ups, and keep it that simple.
Thank you, Lisa Lynn, for being our guest, and thank you for watching Joy in Our Town.
This program has been sponsored by the Trinity Broadcasting Network and is made possible by your telethon dollars. Your continual support can keep Joy in Our Town coming to your home every week. Write to Joy in Our Town, Post Office Box A, Santa Ana, California, 92711.